Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. Today's my least favorite day of the year. Oh, with your comedy news, I forgot to say that part. So recently my daughter asked me, what's your favorite holiday? And I said, Thanksgiving. Why, Dad? Because everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, and, you know, I just like it. Everybody takes the day off. We all kind of do the same thing, the same basic tradition. Turkey, football, go to somebody's house. Details may differ, but, you know, the basic thing, kind of everybody in the country celebrates it. But then I said, except me, I'd rather just stay home, play video games, and get a pizza. So we continued that conversation. I said, my favorite moment of the year is Friday afternoon into Memorial Day weekend, because you have the whole summer in front of you. The possibilities are endless. There's long sun. So, you know, around 5:01 on that Friday, it's like, oh, it's summer. This is so great. Today, the day after Labor Day, is my least favorite day of the year. We are as far from summer as possible. You can't listen to the Beach Boys. Jimmy Buffett doesn't sound right anymore. You got to go back to hard rock winter music. And if you have a job, and I don't have a job right now, boy, the bosses always are like, okay, back to work, fall initiatives. And it's just like, I don't want to be here, dude. Anyway, Theo Vonn claims he was so paranoid about using the bathroom when he interviewed former President Trump that Theo decided to urinate in a cup. Why? He thought the Secret Service agent might think the sound was some kind of secret message. Theo said, so I'm super scared in there. I ended up just peeing into a cup. They had a red Solo cup that I brought in there. I peed in it, and then I just poured it into the toilet, dude, like along the side of the toilet wall, so it'd be real quiet, you know? I just kind of think I was getting super paranoid. I think super paranoid is an understatement. Phil Wang's new special is out today. Apparently, I sourced this from The Fartian, which is like The Guardian, but a typo. Phil Wang, are you excited about your new stand-up special, Wang in Their Baby, arriving on Netflix today? Phil Wang said, I am. Oh, no, he said more. Apparently, because of my previous one, Philly Wang Wang was affected by the pandemic. That was a really good special. That last special was COVID Wang. This is normal actual Wang, and it's nice to have an exclamation point in the title like Oklahoma. It gets you going before it even started. It was filmed at the Sam Wanamaker Playhouse at Shakespeare's Globe. How was that? Phil said, so cool, beautiful. The only completely candlelit venue in London, if not the country. Right now, stand-up is being consumed in very intimate ways, often on phones, so it plays into that. The combination of wood and naked flames adds an extra frizzen. Johnny Mac has to look up the word frizzen. Anybody out there know what frizzen means? Frizzen, also known as aesthetic chills or psychogenic shivers, is a psychophysiological response to rewarding stimuli that often induces a pleasurable or otherwise positively valenced affective state and transient paresthesia, sometimes along with piloerection and mydriasis. I'm still not sure what that means. I think it means like, oh, the environment feels cool. Frizzen is the French word meaning to shiver or to have chills. The BBC has an article called Frizzen, Why Music Can Give You Chills or Goosebumps. Just say goosebumps. Boston Magazine asked Dane Cook the question that anyone would ask Dane Cook. Dane, do you believe the old saying, time plus tragedy equals comedy? That's exactly the first question I would ask Dane Cook. Dane fielded it and said, absolutely. I'm doing a documentary right now talking about putting my brother in prison during what was the most harrowing time of my life and career. It was at the height of my comedy career and the depth of personal tragedy and betrayal. And in the documentary, not only am I laughing at some of the things I went through, but I'm enjoying being entertaining, telling people how I got clobbered, literally eviscerated by that betrayal. Boston Mag followed up. Does comedy come from a place of anger or pain? Dane said, no, I've never subscribed to that. There's certainly something to be said for overcoming trauma and overcoming challenges. You know, a lot of good comedies come from being bullied or minimalized. But I think it's really more about understanding people and interpreting those clunky human moments that we all experience. Dane, when was the last time you snorted from laughing too hard? Yeah, I put a comma in there. I don't know what you're accusing Dane Cook of, and I'm definitely not. I just find the choice of the word snorted interesting. Dane Cook said, probably just lying in bed with my wife. We were both scrolling TikTok, showing each other things. It's still the funniest thing in the book when the guy comes out on his front porch and he doesn't know the whole porch is black ice. He just takes a header and ends up halfway down the driveway. I'm a sucker for slapstick. I was also listening to some old Patrice O'Neill bits, and I laughed out loud. And on the same day, some old Opie and Anthony clips of them playing the Mel Gibson tapes where he's yelling at his wife, and it was all just so twisted and demented. I had a good long day of laughing at all that content. Opie's got a podcast, by the way, and he's been playing old Opie and Anthony clips on that one. Vulture caught up with Langston, Kerman, and John Mulaney. The question that everybody's asking, will there be more episodes of Everybody's in LA? Mulaney said, I think we'd like to figure out how to do more. It was a very interesting experiment in this confined amount of time. Definitely open to it. We had lots of bits that we didn't get to. Langston said, yeah, I'm into it, but I'm not in charge of that. By the way, speaking of John Mulaney, and I shared this over the weekend, I'm going to play it again here. It was a really good conversation with Gianmarco Ceresi. And in it, he slipped into a Mulaney. The discussion, you'll hear the extended discussion. I said that I hadn't realized that his vocal range was in the same range as Mulaney. And then here, listen to this.
Mulaney's is just in a certain kind of range and register that I think just feels right. When I'm joking with my friends, if I'm trying to have riff off with them, it's just the place that I go. It's a little bit presentational. It's really clear. It helps you make a clear setup, and you differentiate the setup from the punchline because you change the octave.
So that's Saturday with Gianmarco. Langston, do you happen to know any friends in comedy who are the subject of rumors that one day they'll host the Oscars? Langston said, what do you want me to do? You want me to nudge him? Listen, I didn't get a single joke on in 2016. Langston was a writer that year. Chris Rock hated everything I offered him, and I respect that choice. He was doing the right thing for him, and Jon hosts a lot of cool stuff. I'm sure he'll figure it out if that's what he wants to do. Mulaney said, I think I'm not hosting. I said no. People are telling me I'm not. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Vulture asked Josh Johnson how The Daily Show has felt since Jon Stewart came back. Josh said, I think we're in a beautiful place. I think we're doing one of the most historic election seasons the country's ever had. And I think we're doing it with a team that's been tested. Having to go through so many different guest hosts is a testament to the agility of everybody to work with different voices and have a real sense of what the show wants to do and what the show has to do outside of just one person. So now we have Jon back, and we have this amazing news team of people rotating that all have very distinctive voices, and they all have very different comedic takes on sometimes the same topic. One of the ways to keep people engaged is to mix up both the delivery of takes and the takes themselves, and it helps keeps the show fresh and the people excited. Let me jump in here. We have on here on the Calaroga Shark Network, Ballot. That's our 10-minute daily show-ish kind of program, and I contribute to the writing. It's been a lot of fun lately. That show has found its voice. So Ballot, B-A-L-L-O-T, wherever you get your shows. There's some shows with similar titles. It's the one with a cartoon drawing of an elephant with Trump-like hair and a donkey with Kamala-like hair. Josh says, I think The Daily Show feels more exciting because I'm coming from the Trump years where we would have a show ready and then Trump would do something at 3 and would be like, we should probably include this. So things don't rattle me at all. I think it's more sort of the unprecedented events where you're like, what's the best way to talk about this? Where we'll look back and be really excited that we took the opportunity. Do you want to host? I'd be open to it, but right now I'm happy to be learning. I'm excited to be doing my chats and going out in the field. I'm just learning the differences between writing and being a correspondent and the differences between performing for the studio audience and performing for people at home and how to get more and more comfortable out in the field. Mike Cannon will have a new special out on September 15th. It is called Traumatized Animal. It'll premiere on Chris DiStefano's YouTube channel. Chris also served as the special's producer. Taped last April at the New York Comedy Club in Stamford, Traumatized Animal provides an irreverent and honest look at parenting as a millennial father looking to break the chain of generational trauma. In an hour jam-packed with jokes and stories, Mike candidly speaks about his own mental health struggles and love for his child, one on the way, as well as deep dives into his own childhood while breaking down how it's impacted his approach as a father. There's a relentless and refreshing, authentic hour of comedy from a comedian that's ready to launch. And I love this article from Slate. It's about Adam Sandler. They write, it needs to be said that despite his current rehabilitation on the pop culture ferment, Adam Sandler has mostly starred in slop. I, like almost every other 33-year-old white guy on the planet, retain some fondness for the schlocky 88-minute comedies he produced in the late 90s and early aughts, Billy Madison, The Waterboy, Big Daddy, but my affection for those films has more to do with my wistfulness for a bygone, outrageously Y2K form of cable TV osmosis that's impossible to replicate in the streaming age. It's 10 p.m. on a summer night, you and your friends are a six-pack deep and crunched into an unventilated basement den, someone flips on Spike TV, Happy Gilmore's on, life's never been better. This is the world in which Adam Sandler became a superstar, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I haven't revisited much of his work since I left for college. The jokes weren't great then, and they've only gotten worse since. People are coming around. Have you noticed? Now, we're 5 years into this podcast? You can go back. There are tons of episodes with me putting in the title, Adam Sandler's Not Funny or something like that. Like, I'm on the record on this. People are coming around to Johnny Mac's corner of, hey, maybe Adam Sandler is not funny at all. Seems like a nice guy. He's a good dramatic actor. Uncut Gems, the basketball one, the space one, he can do it. But some of these things, awful. Jack and Jill, come on. Hubie Halloween, seriously? Slate writes, Sandler put us all through a truly grotesque late prime. I think even his most ardent defenders would struggle to go to bat for Click or Pixels or Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2. Those have 10% and 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Sandler cinematic formula wore thin quickly. There were a lot of fart jokes, a lot of poop jokes, and a potentially lethal dose of Rob Schneider. And yet, as Sandler enters his late 50s, all of his crimes have been miraculously washed away. Last year, he won the Mark Twain Prize. His recent special, bolstered by strong endorsements from needle movers like the New York Times. The comedy special is being framed as the next chapter in Sandler's ongoing cultural coronation. Meanwhile, halfway through it, Sandler concludes a story about a genie who will only grant him 3 wishes if he does a favor for a man who just suffered explosive diarrhea at an airport bathroom. Has he changed? Have we? Skipping ahead, nearly all his peers, particularly his 90s-era SNL compatriots, are heavily invested in what they perceive as a war for the soul of comedy. It's led to some exhausting, redundant seminars posting his stand-up specials. I never needed to hear Chris Rock say the word woke. Sandler should fit the same mold. He's a man in his late 50s who can credit much of his success to the lowbrow territory in which his filmography treads. Instead of fighting a culture war, he's dedicated his craftsmanship to becoming astonishingly effective at telling the same penis, poop, and fart jokes he's been telling for decades, trimming the fat, reforging their elements, until they land with something you could call grace. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. Welcome to fall. Go get a pumpkin donut. BuyMeACoffee.com/dailycomedynews. See you tomorrow.